Alright, ever since my last video that I made complaining about rats, I have gotten more than a couple of comments that were criticizing my advocacy for a less static playstyle. Many of them had similar themes such as, Tarkov is a slow and tactical game, you're supposed to play it slow, or W key chads have been ruining the game. And so in order to understand their point of view, I decided to go into Tarkov, find a lovely comfortable little bush, and lie down in it. So what did I learn from this experience? Well, spoiler alert, I still have no clue how people play the game this way. Seriously, this playstyle is so boring that I had time to script, rehearse, and voice an entire sponsored segment for this video. This video is brought to you by Opera GX. Again. I've been using Opera for a while now, and my favorite part has remained the insane amount of customization that is at your fingertips. I may have gone a little bit too hard into the paint last time when I made every keystroke drop a metal pipe, so on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we had the Sunset Flight theme, a serene wallpaper that puts you in a calming mood. If you want to be depressed every single time you open up your browser, there's also the Cyberpunk Edgerunners theme. And if you want the manliest of manly themes out there, we have the LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga theme, which comes with lightsaber noises every single time you open and close a tab, and each time you type, you get that wonderful LEGO building sound, and as soon as you click enter, you can enable, disable, and even mix and match the different parts of each theme, so customization is entirely in your hands. And a quick gander through the store shows you that there is something for every type of person. If you want to constantly be a part of the curse stuff going on in Discord, the Opera sidebar has you covered. Here you can find widgets that link directly to your Discord, Twitch, Spotify, and so much more. These widgets can even be customized. The GX Corner hosts information on free games, upcoming releases, and most importantly, sales. Deals from all types of stores on all types of games, all located in one place. Convenience is a recurring theme with Opera, and it's even easy to make the switch with the quick import feature, which immediately pulls all the bookmarks from your previous browser and imports them into Opera. Google Chrome extensions even work in Opera, so there's no reason not to make the switch. You can download this browser with all its features using my link below, and thank you to Opera GX for sponsoring another one of my videos. Alright, sponsored bit out of the way. I'll start with the good. It is a very low-risk playstyle. Obviously. I mean, if you need to get PMC kills or you're just insanely hard up for cash and can't afford to lose any gear, well, then this will work. I can kind of understand it at that point. And another good thing is for solo players, it makes it really easy to choose your fights. Let's say, you know, you're lying down in your bush and you see one pair of feet run by. Well, then good. Yeah, just hop out of your bush and kill them. But let's say you're lying down in your bush and you see 5 pairs of feet run by. Well, maybe you're not gonna take that fight. Maybe you'll just stay lying in your bush, you won't worry about that. You know, and that is a very useful tool, especially for solos, is you're able to just avoid engagements that you are going to lose. Another good thing about it is you avoid a large amount of the BS that Tarkov is going to throw at you. I mean, yeah, if you lose a couple of bullets to desync, it doesn't matter that much because you had the drop on them in the first place, so the other 7 that you just shot at them should do the job before they're able to react, so it doesn't bother you that much. My favorite thing that I got to completely ignore while playing like this was scavs. Scavs can be really freaking annoying when you're playing Tarkov, especially Ivan, who just finished, you know, downing a vodka, a Red Bull, and a whiskey all at the same time, and probably huffed glue simultaneously, and is now shooting at you through the trees and rocks, and you have no idea where the hell he is. That can be really freaking annoying, and was my favorite part of this playstyle was I just didn't have to worry about that. Something that was interesting to me is that it opened up the map in new and interesting ways. Instead of just running past certain locations, I looked at them and was like, you know, I could camp up there. That's a good camping spot that most people wouldn't suspect as they ran through this area. So it kind of gave me a different perspective that I thought was a little bit interesting. And finally, you can get away with using much worse weapons and armor, because, you know, if you're not planning on getting shot at because you plan to kill someone before they even know you're there, then you don't need the TV-110. You can totally get away with just wearing a pack-up. You can also get away with worse guns. The entire time I did this, I was using the AK-74 and AKS-74U. The only mods I had on them were the rubber butt pad for the stock, like a PKO6 or some other cheap scope, as well as the JMac Customs muzzle brake, and that was more than enough to do what I needed it to do, because by the time the enemy realized they were getting shot at, they were already dead most of the time. Alright, that's about all I got for the good stuff. Let's just jump straight into the bad stuff now. Before I go too far, I want to clarify a distinction between the two types of ratting. There's good ratting, and then there's bad ratting. The bad ratting, in my opinion, is the type where you find a bush or some dark corner and near a popular location, you just sit in it and you just wait. This playstyle it's very boring. Like, seriously, look at this riveting gameplay of this bush moving back and forth in front of me as I waited for somebody who may or may not come by eventually. I was sitting here for 30 minutes. There was an airdrop in front of me. No one went to it, so I'm just sitting there like, huh. I have a fairly powerful PC, but because of Tarkov's utterly horrible RAM utilization, I couldn't play Tarkov while having OBS open, while also either watching a video on my second monitor or playing another game. So I had to just sit there. And I was able to listen to music, and my music choice was definitely reflecting my my current mood while I was playing this.
In the fall, 'cause we're the pirates, so don't do anything. We just stay at home and lie.
Yeah, brain rot was on was kicking into overdrive on this one. I know there's some people who like pull up another game while they're doing this, like old school RuneScape or something like that, but come on, you can't call it playing tactically when you are doing the equivalent of lying down in a concealed position behind enemy lines, you know, surrounded by hostiles, and whipping out your phone and playing Angry Birds. Like, come on, man. One of the worst things for me personally is there is very little risk, which means there is practically no reward. I know that the loot is technically a reward, but it doesn't matter that much if you get a better weapon when you're playing like this, because, oh, you got an HK416 instead of your AK74. That's cool. You're now going to kill the enemy who doesn't know where you are slightly faster than you would have before, when they didn't know where you were. You see what, it doesn't change the situation that much. You can't really sell it. It's not going to be worth a whole lot because of Tarkov's terrible economy. So if you wanted to just watch your stash number go up, then it's much better to just run around looking for loot on like streets or woods or something of that matter. So the big thing that I and a lot of other people play Tarkov for is the adrenaline rush and the dopamine. Tarkov is miserable, but the dopamine is what keeps us all crawling back like the addicts we are, because there isn't another game that I have found that's currently out and not suffering legal issues that can give me as huge of a dopamine rush as Tarkov is able to. That's why I love to do aggressive PvP. I know I'm a pretty average player, but I've gotten to a point where I can kind of assume what he's gonna do next, and that gives me an advantage, which allows me to then win the fight. That is a huge dopamine rush when that happens. But when I'm ratting, it's kind of like, oh, I killed the guy who didn't know where I was, and he was dead before he even realized he was being shot at. It's just hard for me to get that same rush when the odds are so heavily stacked in my favor. Some people equate ratting to fishing, but in my opinion, ratting is kind of like fishing in an aquarium. You know you're eventually gonna get something, and you know that it's not really going to be putting up too much of a fight when you do. It's just not that interesting in my opinion. It's like, okay, so I found my bush in reserve. I just lie down and I'm waiting. I hear somebody moving. My heart starts to beat a little bit because I know I'm about to get something. And then I kill them in 2.5 seconds because they had absolutely no clue where I was. They didn't even know they were in danger, and that's it. The dopamine hits for, you know, maybe 5 seconds max before it's just gone. Or I can go and just wipe the entirety of Gluhar with my shotgun, and that is going to give me a much bigger adrenaline rush than just killing the unsuspecting player. Like, even though I did eventually get ratted on after killing all of Gluhar, and I didn't get any of that loot, but I was able to look back on that fight and say, you know, that was fun because I killed the entirety of Gluhar with one 20-round magazine in my Saiga. That felt good. I felt like I was in genuine danger, so coming out on top of that fight felt pretty nice. Whereas when you're ratting, if you don't get out with the loot, let's say you die on the way out to a scav or something that just head-eyes you instantly, you feel like you just wasted a ton of time. Even if you don't die, even if you're just sitting there the entire time and you eventually have to extract because you ran out of time in the raid, well, it just feels like you wasted a ton of time, and that's really unappealing to me. And this leaves me to my final criticism, and that is, it's not worth the time in my opinion. If I'm going to spend my time playing a video game, I want it to be engaging, I want it to be, dare I say, fulfilling and rewarding when I play, and I don't know, just sitting in a corner for like 35 to 40 minutes and maybe getting something or maybe not just doesn't seem like a good way to spend that time personally. Maybe you enjoy it, but I just really don't like it. I think it just doesn't feel good. Whereas when I'm running around PvPing, maybe I died in 5 minutes, but 5 minutes gone, okay, I'll just hop into the next one, maybe it'll be better. Maybe I spend 30 minutes in one fight, but that one fight is super adrenaline inducing, then yeah, I see it as time well spent. Those matches where you are hanging on by the skin of your teeth for a solid 20 minutes against one group of people, those are some insanely fun matches. They're very memorable. Whereas even if I kill 3 people while I'm just ratting, it's like, okay, like, that concludes my criticism of bad ratting. Now I'm going to talk about the good form of ratting. I hesitate to even call it ratting. This is just playing tactically. I'm not saying that in order for you to enjoy Escape from Tarkov, you have to rush willy-nilly into every engagement, throw caution to the wind, and just get in there. No, don't do that. That's how you end up dead. That's what I did right here. I didn't realize that I was fighting bloodhounds. I killed 2 of them. I get scared. I start to run away, and then 3 more of them shoot me in the back, and I'm dead. I died because I wasn't cautious. This leads me to tactical ratting. Tactical ratting is a lot of fun. Tactical ratting is when you start to move towards engagements, but as you get closer, you start to creep, you start to stalk, you start to move carefully so you know most of the situation before you start fighting. This is very fun because there is still risk. Maybe your cover is blown and now you have to fight your way out. Maybe it's not. That's that maybe they'll hear me, maybe they won't, maybe my stealth will win the day. That can be very adrenaline inducing. Some of my most memorable moments in Tarkov is when I'm creeping up on a group of people armed with, I don't know, maybe an MP5 or just a weapon that isn't the best. And I know that the only way I can even have a chance at this is if I surprise them. So I spend a solid 5 minutes just slowly creeping up to them, and then it pays off and I win. This allows you to eventually snowball. I have to explain this clip because I pressed the save replay button a tad bit too late. But in this clip, I was being a turbo rat. I was very slow. I heard these gunshots going on in the 2nd floor fortress, so I slowly made my way into the 1st floor and I waited. I watched the stairwell and I waited. Sure enough, eventually one of the guys from up top peeked the stairwell and I was able to lay into him with my MCX. He had a rough idea of where I was, but he didn't know for sure, and ultimately that paid off for me because I was able to kill him. Then I went back to sneaking and played cautiously and started to heal myself in this room. Then this other guy came in. He was not playing cautiously, he was W keying, and that allowed me to sneakily move around the corner and spray him down. Even though I had an MCX with, I think it was 300 Whispered, it wasn't good ammo. I managed to get a headshot. I get his gear. He has an RD704 with a razor sight on it, and with that, I'm able to then snipe a guy who's all the way across in skeleton trying to find out what's going on. This snowball was the most fun I had in this entire session. It just felt awesome. It was super memorable, and I was thinking about it after I got off that night. It was a really fun moment because I started with a P.A.C.A. and an MCX that had terrible ammo, and eventually got a meta kit just because of my careful decision making. So yeah, if you're, you don't exactly have the best gear, or maybe you don't have the best skill, then this tactical rat is definitely the way to go, and I highly recommend it. And the best part is it's genuinely rewarding, and it is thrilling, and it isn't sitting in a bush for 35 minutes blasting, music into your ears because you're going insane. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this installment of Levi Has an Opinion and decides to rant about it because he thinks it might be funny. Thank you for watching all the way to the end of the video. It really does mean a lot to me. I really hope you enjoyed. This video is sponsored by Opera. Use my link below if you want to download it. I probably won't have another sponsored video for a while because these two were a little bit close to each other, but they wanted to work again, and that's never happened before, so I figured, you know, why not? I'm gonna try to fix the lighting and such. Unfortunately, I use a blue screen, which is notoriously harder to light than a green screen, but I can't really use a green screen because of this thing, so we'll just have to figure it out. Rust video will be out next week, hopefully. So if you are excited for that, cool. So be on the lookout for that, and yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Just again, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. It really does mean a lot to me. I hope you enjoyed. That's all I got. Have a good day, I guess.